You've spent too much time living below the person you know you could be, hesitating, overthinking, negotiating with your own potential. That ends today. Because the moment you decide to change your identity, your entire life has to follow. Forge Forth isn't motivation, it's a place where the weaker version of you dies and the stronger version takes over. So breathe in, lock it in, and this is where your rise begins. You tell yourself you're waiting for that right moment, right break, right feeling, but as you're waiting, life passes you by. Maybe part of you already knows nothing changes until you do. This isn't about motivation, this is about awakening. It's about remembering the fire that used to burn in you, the vision, the drive that got buried under comfort and routine. You spent too much time surviving that you've forgotten what it feels like to truly live. But imagine for a moment, imagine what it would feel like to break free from that fog, to wake up tomorrow not as the version that's tired and distracted, but as the version that moves with clarity, power, and purpose. When you really feel it, that shift starts now. As you hear my voice, you can begin to realize your results, your routines, your relationships. They're all mirrors reflecting the standards you've set. Every delay, every excuse, every choice has been shaping your reality. That also means you hold the power to reshape it, starting now. This is the moment you stop drifting, the moment you stop blaming the world for what you've chosen to tolerate. This is the moment you reclaim control. Because you're not broken, you're awakening. You're remembering who you are, and as you rise fully, completely, unapologetically, you'll feel that truth settle deep in your chest. You were never meant to live small. You were meant to ignite. If you're ready to wake up, to face yourself, to finally rebuild your life from the inside out, then let this moment be the line in the sand. Because the man you've been dies here, and the man you're becoming begins. If you're not where you want to be right now, it's not because life is unfair. It's not because you missed your shot or someone else got lucky. Somewhere along the line, you settled. You lowered your standards. You started accepting good enough when you were built for greatness. You let fear whisper in your ear, doubt guide your decisions, and hesitation tighten its grip until your potential felt like a cage. But here's the truth. And once you accept it, everything starts to shift. The moment you take absolute ownership of your life, the game changes. The second you stop pointing outward and start pointing inward, your entire reality begins to rebuild itself from the inside out. It's time to wake up, not to the fantasy version of your life, but to the truth of where you actually stand right now. Because awareness, not avoidance, is what creates change. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about facing yourself with radical honesty. The kind that strips away excuses and exposes possibility. If your finances are wrecked, own it. If your health is slipping, confront it. If your relationships drain, admit it. Because pretending it's fine doesn't fix it. Avoiding the truth doesn't protect you, it paralyzes you. Every lie you tell yourself might numb the pain for a moment, but it adds another brick to the wall between you and who you were meant to become. Rebuilding your life starts with demolition. You've got to tear down the illusions, the comfort, the denial, the stories you keep replaying just to survive another day. That's the weight that's been keeping you grounded when you're meant to rise. So here's the challenge. You already feel it pulling you. Ask yourself the hard questions. What are you avoiding? What patterns are you repeating? What stories have you been living that no longer serve you? Most people will never do this because it's uncomfortable, it's raw, it demands truth over ego. You're here right now listening to these words for a reason. Something inside you knows it's time. It's time to wake up, to face your truth, to reclaim the power you've always had. It forces you to look directly in the mirror, not the filtered version, but the one that reflects everything you've been avoiding. The habits, the fears, the quiet excuses that have been ruining your life in the background. And yes, it's uncomfortable, it's raw, it's supposed to be. Because right here in that discomfort is where real transformation begins. And as you let yourself feel it, you can start to realize if you don't face the truth, you can't change it. And if you don't change it, you stay locked inside the same loop, same frustrations, same stories, same results again and again. But the moment you own your own reality, something powerful shifts. Something wakes up inside you. You begin to feel it. That spark of power you thought you lost. You realize you've never been powerless. You're not a victim of your past. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are and always have been the architect of your future. But to build that future, you must first stop lying to yourself. Stop saying you don't have time when you know how many hours disappear to scrolling, escaping, and numbing out. Stop saying you don't know how when deep down you haven't even tried. Stop saying it's too hard when others with less time, less money, fewer advantages have already proven it's possible. The difference between those who rebuild and those who remain stuck always comes down to ownership. Radical, unapologetic ownership. That means taking full responsibility, not just for your actions, but for your mindset, your standards, your energy, and your results. No more blaming, no more waiting, no more hoping life magically improves. Because it won't, not until you do. Let this be your wake-up call. See things as they are. That's fear, not prettier than you wish they were. That's denial. See them clearly, because when you do, something inside you clicks back into alignment. You reclaim your power. You start to feel that energy building again, the same energy that once drove you, that once made you hungry, and when that energy returns, the rebuild begins. And it's already starting right now. Here's what most people never understand. Awareness means nothing without action. You can wake up, you can see the truth, admit the problem, and still stay exactly where you are. That's not growth. That's paralysis disguised as reflection. It feels productive, but it's not. It's just self-sabotage in a cleaner outfit. Because the real transformation doesn't begin when you simply recognize your reality. It begins when you make a non-negotiable decision that says, I will no longer live this way. I will not settle here another day. And as you say that to yourself, you can feel it, can't you? That small, powerful spark starting to rise again. That's your power returning. That's the ignition point, the spark that starts the rebuild. And let's be clear, rebuilding isn't about patching cracks. It's about demolition. It's about tearing down what's weak, what's fake, what's been holding you back, and constructing something unbreakable in its place, a new identity, a new standard, a new way of showing up. It's about refusing to coast, refusing to settle for average, refusing to live one more day beneath your potential. This is where the weak version of you dies. The version that chased comfort, that played it safe, that waited for permission. This is where you take back the wheel and start driving your life with intention, precision, and power. So wake up fully. No more half living, no more hiding behind clever excuses, no more sleepwalking through potential. Take full, relentless ownership of your direction, because once you do, once you lock in that level of control, there's nothing, absolutely nothing you can't rebuild. The greatest barrier between you and the life you crave isn't your past, your bank account, or your circumstances. It's your belief system. The silent scripts running in your head every single day, the whispers that say, you're not enough, you're not ready, you're not like them. Those beliefs are the real enemy, and they've shaped your confidence, your habits, your decisions, every part of your life. But beliefs are not facts, they're stories. And stories can be rewritten. As you begin to rewrite those stories, you choose right now to believe something new about yourself. You're already rewriting your future. When your mind changes, everything else follows. You'll freeze the moment. You'll pull back right when life is begging you to push harder. You'll settle for comfort when your soul is screaming for more. Every hesitation, every delay, every excuse comes down to one thing: your beliefs. Your beliefs are not facts, they're stories. Stories you've told yourself for so long they've become law in your mind. Every limitation you feel, every fear that holds you back, every doubt that drags you down. It's all built on a single thought you chose to repeat until it became part of who you think you are. And maybe you've never questioned that voice, the one that says, I've always struggled with money. I'll never get in shape. I've failed too many times to try again. But that voice isn't truth. It's programming. Lies dressed as logic. Mental walls built from repetition, not reality. And as long as you keep protecting those beliefs, you'll keep reliving the same story. The same results, the same ceiling on your potential, the same quiet frustration that whispers, you were meant for more. But here's what happens when you interrupt the pattern, when you stop, stand up, and finally ask, what if that's not true? Something inside you shifts. The fog lifts. You start to see just how much of your life has been shaped by limits that were never even real. Because when you begin to interrogate your own mind, something powerful happens. You take your power back. Every time you catch yourself saying, I can't, you now pause and challenge it. Is that truth or conditioning? Is that fear or familiarity? And as you begin to ask those questions, even quietly to yourself, you start to wake up to something bigger. You realize those walls around you were never made of stone. They were made of belief. When you break the belief, when you rip down the illusion, you just don't break the pattern. You unlock your freedom. The real difference between those who rise and the ones who remain stuck has nothing to do with luck, talent, or intelligence. It's all in the way they think. Successful people refuse to be ruled by limiting beliefs. They don't let doubt take up space in their mind. They replace it with conviction. They don't wait for fear to disappear. They move through it because they understand something most never will. Your past does not define your future. Just because something has been true for you up until now doesn't mean it has to stay true. People reinvent themselves every single day. They go from broke to wealthy, from unhealthy to unstoppable. from lost to deeply fulfilled. The thing that separates them from those who stay trapped isn't circumstance, it's mindset. It's the moment they look in the mirror and decide, I'm done living inside this old story. Growth begins the second you stop saying, that's just who I am. Start asking, who do I want to become? Something inside you can begin to shift because the answer isn't out there somewhere. It's in the way you choose to think right now. You start becoming hyper aware of the beliefs running your life. Notice the language you use. Listen to the excuses that spill out when you're challenged. Pay attention to the fears you justify. Every time you hear yourself say, I'm not capable, or I could never do that, stop. Catch it. That's the old voice. The voice of limitation, trying to keep you safe and stuck. And this is where you interrupt the pattern, where you take control of the conversation happening inside your own head. Replace the weakness with power. Instead of I can't, say I'm learning how. Instead of I've never done this before, say this is my chance to grow. Because here's the truth. Every word you speak becomes a command for your mind. Every sentence is either programming for your weakness or wiring you for strength. And as you feel that truth landing, you can already sense the difference. The moment your language changes, your life begins to flow. Words have power. Every sentence you speak, every thought you entertain, every whisper you allow to echo in your mind, it's programming you. Your self-talk isn't just background noise. It's the blueprint for your reality. If you keep telling yourself stories of limitation, you'll keep living within the boundaries of those stories. When you start speaking with intention, when your language aligns with your vision, everything begins to shift. Once you change the dialogue in your mind, you've got to change the environment that's feeding it. If you're surrounded by people who reinforce your old identity, who normalize playing small, your growth will suffocate. You can't rise while staying in rooms built for your past. Surround yourself with people who challenge your limits, who expand your perspective, who make impossible sound like a dare. Read the books. Listen to the voices of those who've already walked the path you're trying to carve. The more you immerse yourself in higher standards, the faster your mind adapts to them. But information means nothing without application. Nothing rewires your brain faster than evidence. Proof you create through action. Start small if you have to, but start now. Every time you move through fear, instead of running from it, you weaken the old beliefs. Every time you follow through, you carve a new groove in your mind that says, I'm capable, I'm stronger. Confidence isn't a gift, it's a skill. And every action you take despite doubt builds that muscle. You want to feel powerful, act powerfully. You want to trust yourself, keep your word to yourself. Your past failures, they're feedback, not final verdicts. Your old identity, just a costume, not who you truly are. You have the ability to rewrite your story. You can let go of the limitations you've protected for years and step into a version of yourself that operates with clarity, courage, and conviction. As you begin to imagine that, you start to feel what the future self feels like. Realize something deep. You're not waiting to become that person, you already are. Words carry weight. Every sentence you speak, every thought, every whisper in your mind, it's shaping the reality you live in right now. Your self-talk isn't just commentary. It's the code your subconscious mind is running on. Most people are trapped inside a story they keep unconsciously writing with their own words. Say you're stuck long enough and you'll start building walls to match. Keep telling yourself you're not enough and your actions will bend to make it true. But here's the truth. Change begins the moment you change your language. The moment you decide to speak differently about who you are and what's possible for you. Your identity begins to catch up to your words. But mindset alone isn't enough. Environment is the amplifier. You can't rise while staying surrounded by people who reinforce your old patterns. No matter how strong your willpower is, if your inner circle normalizes mediocrity, you'll end up calling it balance. You need to get around people who make your comfort zone feel uncomfortable. People who challenge you to think bigger, move faster, aim higher. Read the books that stretch your limits. Listen to voices that ignite that hunger you've been suppressing. Immerse yourself so deeply in growth that expansion becomes your new baseline, your new normal. Above all, act. Knowledge doesn't rewire the mind. Evidence does. Every time you do what you once believed was impossible, you start to internalize, I can, I am capable, I'm doing it. Start small, but start now. Every action you take in the face of fear, every step you take while uncertain weakens the old programming and reinforces the new pattern. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It's the result of showing up again and again, especially when your old self would have quit. Every rep builds identity. Every follow-through becomes proof, and when you stack enough proof, you start walking differently, talking differently, living differently. Your past failures are the lessons, not life sentences. Your old identity is just outdated software. You have the power to uninstall it, to break free from the stories that keep you small, to rewrite the narrative of your life. One choice, one action, one decision at a time. Realize you are not who you were. You are who you decide to become next. It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It just has to be one decision, one step. Because once you start moving, momentum takes over. The hardest part of any transformation isn't the climb, it's that first step. But the moment you take it, something shifts. The weight of hesitation begins to lift, and suddenly, the path that once looked impossible starts to reveal itself. One step becomes two, two becomes 10, and before you know it, you've built momentum. That unstoppable force carries you further than motivation ever could. But here's the truth most people avoid. Small, scattered action isn't enough. You can't tiptoe your way into a new life. You can't casually create change. If you want to transform your reality, you've got to move with conviction, with fire, with obsession. Half-hearted effort produces half-hearted results. You can't whisper your way into greatness. You've got to roar your way there. That means going all in. Burn the bridges back to your comfort zone. Stop keeping a backup plan for your old self. Commit fully, mind, body, and spirit. Decide that failure isn't final, and that quitting isn't even on the table. And let's address the biggest lie people tell themselves. I don't have time. No, you have time. You're just not using it on what matters. Every person who built something extraordinary had the same 24 hours you do. The difference isn't time, it's priority. While most people were scrolling, waiting, wishing, they were building. Every minute, every choice, every action was another brick in the foundation of their vision. So it's time to get honest. Audit your hours. Look at your life with ruthless clarity. What's serving your future and what's stealing it? Replace passive consumption with active creation. Trade excuses for execution. Stop watching other people live the life you want and start constructing your own. When you make that shift, when you stop waiting and start building, you trigger something deep inside your nervous system. You flip the switch from dreaming to doing, from hoping to owning. And that's the moment everything begins to change. Not someday, not eventually, but right now. As you think about that, you can already feel that pull forward, that spark of momentum. This is my time. Stop waiting. Start building. Stop waiting for clarity, confidence, for that mythical perfect moment that's never coming. Because here's the truth. Waiting is the language of fear, and action is the language of power. You don't need to feel ready to move. You need to move to become ready. Motivation, gone in an instant. Can't build an empire on sparks. What you can build it on is discipline. The steady flame that keeps burning long after motivation fades. Discipline is the engine that separates those who rise from those who remain. It's built through repetition. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you forge it. Every time you push through resistance, when your mind screams to quit, you strengthen it. Discipline isn't handed to you, it's earned, one uncomfortable moment at a time. When you start choosing the hard thing, you stop chasing comfort and start leaning into the grind. That's when transformation begins. Because growth doesn't live when it's easy. It lives in the stretch, in the fire, in the repetition, in the moments where you face the part of yourself that still hesitates. And move anyway. So stop avoiding difficulty. Hunt it, seek it, chase it down. Every challenge you face, every setback you overcome is shaping you into a new weapon. It's not punishment, it's preparation. The discomfort you feel today is the strength you'll rely on tomorrow. Progress isn't always visible. You won't always see it, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. Just like a seed growing underground, the roots take hold long before you see the first leaf. Every rep, every early morning, every late night, every time you show up when no one's watching, it's compounding quietly behind the scenes. Then one day you wake up and it's undeniable. The results are visible. The momentum is unstoppable. And everyone calls it overnight success, not realizing you were grinding in silence while they were sleeping. So keep going, keep building, keep showing up, because consistency beats intensity. And it's not motivation that rebuilds your life. It's the discipline you earn in the dark, long before the world ever sees the light. Trust the process, stay consistent, and above all, refuse to quit. Because as you hear these words now, you can already begin to feel that quiet fire inside you reawakening, the one that remembers what you're truly capable of. Rebuilding your life isn't about one dramatic moment or overnight transformation. It's about the grind, the deliberate, daily choices that stack like bricks towards your future. Every action, every decision, every repetition is wiring your mind for victory. You're building momentum right now. Each habit you form becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you make a decision that aligns with your vision, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, you're reinforcing a new identity. The identity of someone unstoppable. Success doesn't shout. It whispers through consistency of your effort. As you keep showing up, especially when it's hard, especially when no one's watching, something powerful begins to shift inside you. You start to feel that alignment, that pull toward your higher self, and this is who I was meant to be. In the end, there's only one thing that separates success from regret: action. As you begin to act with purpose, your world starts to reorganize around your movement. The moment you decide, truly decide, your brain, your body, your environment begin to align behind that decision. The choice to act, that's on you, right here, right now. Rebuilding your life isn't about repairing what's broken. It's about creating something entirely new. You're not gluing old pieces back together. You're forging something stronger, sharper, more powerful, something that wakes you up in the morning with purpose instead of pressure. Too many people spend their lives trying to fix their past, fix their finances, fix their body, fix their relationships, as if patching the surface could ever rebuild the foundation. But true transformation doesn't come from fixing the old. It comes from designing the future. It comes from vision. And when you set your vision so vivid, so magnetic, so alive, one that pulls you forward instead of pushing you from behind, your entire nervous system starts to align with it. You'll find making choices that match your destiny instead of your history. You'll feel that shift from trying to escape pain to chasing purpose. Decide right now. Not what's practical, not what's safe, not what others say. Decide what you truly want, what lights your soul up, what makes you feel alive. Because the moment you do, you locks in that deep internal certainty that says, this is it. This is who I am now. And as that vision takes hold, as it begins to pull you forward, you'll realize something powerful. Your new life doesn't begin in the ruins of what was. It begins right here, right now, in the vision of what's possible. Too many people settle, not because they lack potential, but because they've been conditioned to believe they can't have more. Somewhere along the way, they've bought into the lie that's about survival, not fulfillment. They've traded passion for predictability, purpose for comfort, and then wondered why they feel empty, even when everything looks fine. When you don't take control of your life, when you don't decide what you truly want, life will decide for you. The result it gives you will never match what your soul is craving. Clarity is power. As you let those words sink in, you can already begin to feel it. That pull towards something greater, because without clarity, you drift. You react instead of create. You survive instead of lead. You go through the motions, hoping momentum will somehow carry you forward. Won't. Define your direction. Sit down and ask yourself, where do I want to be 5 years from now? Who do I want to become? What kind of impact do I want to make before I'm gone? See it, feel it, hear it. Let it burn in your mind until it's more real than your excuses. The clearer your vision becomes, the stronger it will pull you forward, even when everything else tries to hold you back. Here's where most people get stuck. Vision without alignment is fantasy. Dreaming without discipline is just another way to escape. You can't create a new life while living by the rules of your old one. You have to align your actions with your ambitions. If you want financial freedom, you can't keep thinking and spending like someone who's broke. If you want strong, energized body, you can't keep eating, sleeping, and moving like someone who's exhausted and inconsistent. If you want peace, you can't keep entertaining chaos. Your habits, your standards, your circle, everything must rise to match your vision. But here's the truth. Most people don't fail from lack or desire. They fail from lack of standards. They want a better life, but refuse to be the kind of person who can sustain it. You can't build your life with the same mindset that broke it. So raise your standards, align your actions. Start living right now like the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. So as you begin to think, act, and move like your future self, your reality begins to shift to meet you there. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about growth. It's about excellence. It's about the relentless pursuit of the person you always were meant to become. Because as you hear this now, you can already feel that deep part of you that's tired of staying the same, ready to step into something greater. This path won't be easy. You'll face resistance. You will be tested. The people around you might not understand. Some will try to pull you back into old patterns, not out of hatred, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. That's not rejection. That's confirmation. It means you're evolving. It means you're outgrowing the frequency of who you used to be. So when that happens, don't fight it. Don't fear it. Embrace it. Because if you want to fly, you can't stay in the nest. If you want to build a new life, you can't keep clinging to the ruins of the old one. Above all, move with momentum. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the mood. Don't wait for the perfect timing. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Winners know this. They act in spite of doubt, in spite of fear, in spite of fatigue. That's the difference between those who rise and those who remain. Others wait for the feeling to act. Consistency will always outperform intensity. Small, deliberate steps taken daily will outlast the biggest bursts of effort. It's not about how loud you start, it's about how long you sustain. The quiet grind, the unseen repetitions, the disciplined follow through, that's what compounds into transformation. So remember this, it's never the loudest who wins, it's the one who never stops. The one person who moves forward every single day, no matter how small the step. They will always outgrow the one still waiting for that perfect moment that never comes. And at the end of the day, your life will always mirror your standards, not your intentions, not your wishes, but your standards. Every result is a reflection of what you've tolerated, accepted, and demanded from yourself. And if you hear this now, you can feel it. That quiet voice inside you knows it's time to raise them. No one is coming to hand you a new reality. No one's going to fight your battles, carry your discipline, or rewrite the story for you. This is your moment to step forward. Stop waiting, stop doubting, and start building. Build with clarity because you already know what you want. Build with conviction because you already have what it takes. Build with unshakable discipline because when you decide, truly decide, your world begins to move around that decision. The life you want won't appear out of luck. It will rise out of commitment, forged in action, shaped by persistence, fueled by purpose. Feel the future you're building and let it pull you forward. This is the line between who you've been and who you're becoming. Rebuild your life with purpose in your heart, fire in your soul, and unbreakable drive in your spirit. Refuse to crawl where you were born to climb. Refuse to settle when you were built to soar. Remember, the future doesn't belong to the hesitant. It belongs to the decisive, the ones who move even when it's hard. You've listened long enough. Now it's time to move. The weaker version of you has taken its last breath. It doesn't get a vote anymore. It doesn't get a say in who you become. Because today, you've stepped into the forge. And once you enter, you don't walk out the same. From this moment forward, your decisions change. Your standards change. Your identity changes. So come back. We're not finished. We're building the strongest version of you, and we're doing it piece by piece.